So, Black Dynamite. I'm sorry, that song stays in my head. Like that's why it ended up being part of the promo. I'm like, the song stays in my head.
It does.
You know,
you just
working with that entire cast and crew. You're probably just like, I'm in the room with these people that did a cult classic film.
Yeah,
because let's face it, that movie, it didn't get to push like most movies.
Right.
You know, it got internet push. It got internet push. Like it started with the Anaconda Malt Liquor commercial. He was like, yo, where did they get these commercials from? How did these happen? You know, and they were just like, what movie? Next, you know, it was wildfire. It's like Snakes on the Plane. Snakes on the Plane should not have been as popular as it was, but because of leaks
and cult status will keep Phasing alive.
It does. So working with people like Michael Jai White and a host of others, how did that feel when you're in that room and you're helping write these things and you're helping produce these things and you're just like, how did you feel like, man, I'm here?
I mean, well, let me tell you how it came about first, because I first got a bootleg version of the movie before it came out.
Many of us did.
Well, what happened was Cedric Yarborough, you know, he played Chocolate Giddy Up in the movie, so he had a director's cut, and so he shared it with me, and I was like, wow, like this is really, really crazy, and I thought to myself, this will make a really dope animated series, right? And I swear to you, cut to maybe 2 to 3 weeks later, I get a call from my manager. He's like, "Hey, have you?" He said, "I got somebody that wants to meet you. It's this production company. They did this movie Black Dynamite, and they want to talk to you about doing something animated with it." I'm like, "This is crazy." So I met with them, and so they could show me the movie, and I pretended like I saw it for the first time. You know, and then afterwards they were like, you know, do you think you could come up with a take? And I'm like, I mean, I'll have a take in a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, worked on the take, you know, and got with my partner Brian Ash, who I've been working with since forever. And took it to Adult Swim, and you know, we pitched the show. They bought it in the room, and we went off to do a pilot. Now, when we started working on it, I met Mike. It's funny because I don't know if you saw the Trouble on Puppet Street pilot, the original pilot.
Yes.
So this is like, well, actually, I worked with Mike before as Bushido Brown on the Boondocks, but you know, this is different because, like, you know, this was his brainchild, right? So now it's expanding into this animated series, and you know, the humor. There's some things that, like, we can't rely on the bad filmmaking jokes that they did in the movie, and some of those nuances that they were able to pull off in the movie we couldn't do in animation. So, you know, I was telling him, like, it's going to be consistent, but it's going to be a little different, right? And so he was like, "Cool, I trust you." But then we got in the booth, and I remember that you know, it was a couple of things that we battled on, but there was this one line in particular where Black Dynamite says, "Dennis Flynn, I never told nobody this, but I used to be a children." And Mike, when I say we stopped recording for about an hour and a half, while me and Mike went back and forth about this line, because he was like, he sounds stupid. Why would he say children? It's a child. He would say, "I used to be a child." And I'm like, "Mike, I know, but it's funny."
It's funny. It's funnier. It's like you just got.
And I'm arguing with this guy that can literally kick my throat out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I'm like, okay. I was like, I said, I'll tell you what, just trust me. I said, listen, let's record it both ways. If it doesn't work, the way I want to do it, we'll do it your way. But we played it for people, and every single time that line came up, people started cracking up. And so I remember you know, after it aired, he told me, he was like, "You was right," and you know, he started trusting me a little more. And and to be honest, I wasn't convinced that Mike even knew this was a comedy because he played the character so straight.
Yeah.
and so
Take the branches from the leaves.
So there would be moments where, like, you know, like say for example, anytime when like Black Dynamite was down and out, or like he like even with the IRS, you know what I'm saying, where Mike had this thing where he was like, I don't want to see Black Dynamite down and out, and I said that's why we do it. Because people don't want to see it, so you're going to root for him to go, get out of that situation. But I think he was. That's the brilliance of what he brought to the screen. Is he was so connected to the character, right, in a real way. Yeah. That I'll tell you this quick story, real quick. So we're at Comic-Con in New York, right? And I remember they took us out. They took us the back way. We're about to do a panel. And so we're in this elevator that it opens up on both sides. So Mike gets in the elevator, and I remember we're facing this way. The door opens in the back, and he goes,
"Hey yo!"
I'm like, "Yo, this is not Into the Dragon, bro." The worst that happens is a nigga dressed up like Princess Leia might attack you, but other than that, you saved, bro. All right.
Yo,
he's really that guy.
Oh my God! Cinematic assassin can't take it. It was like he can't take it.
I'm just imagining this man almost taking off the head of some janitor, just doing his damn job.
I got one worse than that. Will I have him in full Black Dynamite with the Suey, just as he's doing it, just as you do, you can just Suey.
Yo, it was crazy because at Comic-Con before we came out, we just heard a sea of people going, sorry. And Mike was like, what are they saying? I'm like, that's your call. So you gotta go out there and say it back.
Oh my God. So there's definitely some magic behind the scenes.
It was fun, man.
My God.
I'll just say Kim Whitley and Tommy Davidson.
How did you get work done?
How do y'all keep a straight face?
How did you get work done?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the work.
We didn't. I'll tell you one thing. Because there was one time we tried to get all the actors together and record, because sometimes you can record them, like a half
in a round,
like a half, right? Yeah. So that didn't work for us.
No.
Because we had Orlando. I think it was Orlando. If I remember correctly, it was like Orlando Jones, Arsenio Hall.
Boy.
It was Michael Jai White. It was Deborah Wilson.
Oh Lord.
Boy.
All in the same room. You're not getting done.
You ain't getting nothing done.
And it was just like Kim Whitley, Tommy Davidson. And it was a madhouse. Like I was trying my best to direct, but I was also laughing at the same time. It was just a mess, and I was like, we can't do this anymore.
y'all probably did more laughing than recording.
Jesus.
So
there was no script at that point.
Deborah Wilson was in there flashing everybody. She's lifting up her shirt. At one point, like Kristen Powell was on the ground, like trying to take a nap, and she jumped on top of him. I'm like, oh my God. Can we just record this episode, please?
That'll be a fly on the wall. Right. That's one of the things. You're like, yeah, I'm going to be home late. And like, why are you so happy if you knew the work day I had?
And Deborah is like one of the most talented people I've ever worked with in the world. But like, she's a character, man. When I first met her, she gave me a hug for like 10 minutes. And she told me in my ear, she was like, "What's your name, brother?" And I was like, Carl Jones. She's like, "My demonologist. His name is Carl, so I'm gonna remember that. So listen." It's like, your demonologist. I don't even know what that is. Number one.
Am I okay right now?
My demonologist.
Like, how did
you have a demonologist? Why?
Like you said, there's so many questions.
Are you for or against?
Your grip is loosening as you're thinking. You're like, what is happening right now?
Oh man,
I wasn't expecting all of this. But like, there's a flood of questions I didn't know.
But the actors and the comedians, they brought those characters out, and I think that, similar to the Boondocks, is what makes it so memorable. Not just because of the lines and the scenes, but just the actual Black talent behind it, which again, we have, all of us on this panel have said repeatedly, that's what's actually missing in today's media, which of course you and Martian Blueberry are attempting to fill that void. But it's that I always tell people this: you have a great Black series for one of three reasons. Number one, there's a favorite character that you love. There's lines you can reference, and you can rewatch a series from front to end, and it doesn't get old.
Oh, I know what your name is.
Black Power is Chris Hansen.